Hello, everybody. Welcome to Subconscious Sundays. I am your co-host, Rev April Kling Meyer, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host, the wonderful and amazing Timothy Freeman.
Hi.
Hi, Tim.
Hello. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, hello, everybody. And as you can see behind me, I'm hoteling it like it is. It happens sometimes. I'm in Dublin right now. Yes, I'm home. I'm back in Ireland. I'm not in the heartland of America anymore, but I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to get this show on the road today. Big topic, huge topic, scary.
This one, yeah, if there's one subject that affects every single one of us at some point, this would be it.
Yep. Death and rebirth. Death and rebirth. And I wanted to just talk about death, but I feel like it's important to talk about all the little deaths. Now, I know that petite mort in French means orgasm. That's not what I mean by little death. I mean all the lesser deaths that occur throughout our lives, and what an important difference they make as well, even though they can be a bit devastating. So before we dive in, let's go over the rules and regulations of Subconscious Sundays. First of all, we create this space to be a fun and entertaining way to talk about potentially serious or heavy topics. Can't think of one any more serious or heavy than this one. So here we are doing exactly what we came here to do. And we remain open and inviting to you, welcoming to those of you who have questions or ideas to respectfully bring those into this conversation today and always.
And this has become our weekly ritual with you all. Thank you for being here. We'd love to gather our shared community in this virtual sacred space to share our knowledge and experiences while hearing about yours too.
Yeah, and our core values are to be respectful of everyone's individual journey, yours and mine alike, to be rooted in compassion for ourselves and others, and to promote growth and expansion while creating a supportive community, which we wouldn't have if it weren't for all of you. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited. I love the numbers today, Tim. They're really good.
Awesome.
A lot of people with us today.
Well, that's great. And I know a lot of people responded to the lunchtime poll. If you guys are joining us for the first time, that's a joke from the movie Heathers. If you've seen it, you know.
Which is like a movie that we totally bonded over when we were kids. And if you're joining us for the first time, you should also know that we've been friends for 40 years. So we have all kinds of inside jokes. And anytime we pop one out here, what?
Well, no, I mean, the decades kind of stack up here. Like you just said 40 years, and I'm like,
yeah.
Like I don't even feel like I'm 40 years.
Anytime one of our inside jokes makes it onto the show, we do our best to explain it because we don't want to alienate anybody. But yeah, Tim, it'll be 40 years this September.
Yeah, it will. Crazy.
Dang. Okay, well, here we go. Death and rebirth, which we've seen each other go through quite a bit, rebirth. So no better witness than you or I. Okay. So here's our, as we call it, lunchtime poll. Wednesday poll. It was Wednesday. It's been Thursday the last few weeks because I've been busy. But midweek poll. Let's say that. Midweek poll. On a purely emotional level. What are you doing to prepare yourself for your own inevitable death? Jill says, nope. Starting right off. I mean, she wasn't the only one. I didn't get it in there in the captions, but Rob Riggio also said, wait, what? Uh-oh. They're getting
shouldn't
heavy.
Come as a surprise. You know, this thing that's coming up shouldn't come as a surprise. But...
Well, actually, funny you should mention that. Our very dear Bear, who joins us every single week, informed me that she doesn't want to know what it is ahead of time. She wants it to be a surprise. So,
nice.
I wonder how many of our viewers actually are just coming into it totally dry like that. I kind of love it. Well, I'll be making mention of her later again. Izzy says making jokes. And Rachel says becoming a vampire. To which I replied, Okay, so I went to the zoo in Omaha with Rachel, and we saw a lot of really cool things that day. But the coolest thing I think we saw that day was two bats making love. And I was like, I mean, those bats were living their best life, right?
Yeah, the way actually, I mean, side note here, but the way you described that was just wow. Like, sounds like a really cool thing to see.
I mean, it was shamanic to say the least. Back to our topic though. Bats are kind of deathy though. Bats are so deathy. I don't really get that because I know more about bats because of you. You've taught me everything I know about bats. They're not really deathy creatures. They just like to go out when it's nighttime. I think that's what makes them like, you know, kind of have that association with death or whatever. But they just like the night. They're children of the night. Anyway, Erica says, I am woefully emotionally unprepared. And that's why we're here. And I love Erica's comment the most. I love a lot of these comments. There's not a single one of these comments I don't love on some level. But Erica's the one that's like, it's honest, right? Like, yes. And that is why Tim and I are doing this, right? But then we got some comments that I gave a little pushback to. And I actually have to apologize for this one. Mia says, cleaning up and empty out all the crap in my house, studio, shed, so my son won't have to do so on my departure. And I came back to Mia with like, that's not really on an emotional level. And then she was like, I beg to differ. I mean, if you consider like how emotional that must have been for me and going through all the old photos and all the knickknacks, yeah, it's purely emotional. And I was like, I stand corrected, but I still feel like apologizing because Mia, that was unseeing of me. It was. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry, Mia, if you're watching. Ensuring, this is another one that was like not purely emotional, but I'll allow it. You know, like it's part of it. Ensuring as much is done and plan in advance that my family and friends have less to do when the time comes.
Same sentiment there.
Same
And
sentiment as Mia.
this is emotional. It's like you don't want, like, we don't know if we're going to experience guilt after death, but that's kind of the emotion, like this pre-guilt, like if someone have to deal with all your stuff or whatever, right?
Yeah. Like that may make it harder to die because you don't have any. Then you have unfinished business, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of a unfinished business is a big deal. I'll talk about that in a minute. Pragmatically. See, it's not that I have any problem with anybody bringing in the pragmatic. It's just that everyone feel that they have, like not everyone. Okay, obviously not everyone, but some people felt like they had to. Okay, that's fine. Let's do it. Practically, I have a will, HPOA, DNR, body donation paperwork, and messages to my loved ones. That's not all Sarah said. It's 2 of 2, as you see on the screen. She had something else to say that was more emotional, but she brought in the pragmatic as well. And it's like interesting to me. In a way, this is sort of similar. I try to be self-aware and I put myself in unity with God. Sort of pragmatic, but also really emotional because that right with God, that unity with God is a big emotional process. It's also a process that allows you to not have any unfinished business. I mean, the big unfinished business from the perspective of a Christian, such as Fran. There were also other comments that were way more like, there is only one way to be ready for death, and that's, my religious ritual that I think everybody should go through. I won't go any further than to say that, but I will say that, yes, I'm glad that you have that beautiful rite of passage in your religion and your belief system that helps you prepare for the world. Fran didn't do this. This wasn't Fran. This is somebody I'm not going to mention and put on the spot. It's wonderful that you have that. Please be with your rituals, be with your rites of passions. It's so important. But I'm not going to put it on the show because I'm not going to be prescriptive. I'm not going to be out here telling people how to do this, right? Anyway, living. Now we're getting into the business. Thanks, Colleen. Staying focused each day on what I know I want to achieve on earth, Sarah said. Bryce said, doing the most I can with my life. And Sarah P says, I live. So there's this consistent thing coming through here, right? I want to also mention that most of the people, ever since that shift just happened, most of these people are spiritual practitioners, including this one. When I was a monk, my novice master had the phrase from the Rule of St. Benedict as his screensaver: keep death daily before your eyes. I love it. I have always tried to do this, and I live each day as if it was my last. Paul, we're neighbors. We're buds. I get you, Paul. And then this is really close to my heart. Joe, having thought about and planned my funeral has helped me connect with the idea of dying. And that's what I will be talking about today. Joe and I went to the same seminary. And in seminary, we have to plan our funeral. It's the last project before we go through ordination. And it's not like necessarily some fluffy thing. It's not also necessarily some pragmatic thing, but it is kind of that combination of both that feels really real. And I want to talk a little bit about that process for me, just in that it's really the first time I really had to confront this idea of my own death in a very real way. But I want to also kind of bring in that, oh, hang on a second. I want to bring in some stuff. Those bats will die too, James says. Yes, they will. Bear says, I'm with Izzy. Important to laugh at this divine comedy. I did agree with Izzy. Absolutely. You can go in the comments and see what I said. I think we got to bring humor into this. Absolutely. Fun and lighthearted way. Achieved so far. Levity. Thanks, James. Good to see you.
And Bear, you're hilarious.
I love you guys. Oh, Christ, Tim. Pre-guilt yet another thing to add to the Irish self-flagellation menu. Yes, well, you can say that, Bear. I read Staring at the Sun, Erwin Yalom on death anxiety and living life. So interesting. Okay, good reading recommendation. But back to what I was saying before. I got distracted. And thanks again for your comments. Keep them coming. When it comes to Bear, anyway, something that Bear really brought home for me in taking yoga from her. I've been in strict practice with Bear for over a year now, a good solid year and a half now. And Shavasana, she is very, regular about reminding us, literally translates to corpse pose. And I love Shavasana. I think it's a pretty near universal thing that you love Shavasana. Like,
I'm really good at that one. I'm really good at that.
Anytime somebody tells me that they've done yoga for a long time, I'm like, I bet you rock at Shavasana. And if they don't get my joke, I'm like, you don't do yoga. No, I'm kidding. But how good it feels to get into Shavasana after a long yoga class. And I really don't have a whole lot of ideas about what happens after we die, but I have a feeling that death is the great Shavasana pose. That it's this relaxation that comes after a lifetime of putting our bodies and ourselves and our lives through all sorts of shapes, and that it feels really, really wonderful. But it might also kind of highlight some pain points right there in that process. I've heard from people who've sat with the dying about how all of the major pain points in one's life come forward in that dying process, and those conversations that, if you're lucky, you get to have with those you love before it finally happens upon you. And I want to also honor here that bringing up this topic opened up a similar conversation to a relative of mine who is going through some really important health challenges right now, and that allowed me to kind of deal with this on a very familial blood level this week, talking about this with all of you. And when we were asked to plan our funerals in seminary, I got a partner who actually was a funeral professional and had been for decades. So I got a real pro, and he was amazing at it. His name is Jacob. And he guided me so lovingly through that process. And it awoke something inside of me. And I know that's what Joe's referring to in her comment as well. um, I had to think very clearly and very openly about who all would be there, what you would feel, what you would say, you would do, like what you would read out loud, what you would sing, what you would perform, where you would sit. I had to put all of that right into the forefront of my imagination. And I realized something really important about death that I'd never realized before, which is that life itself is the preparation of a great emotional feast for everyone I have ever loved, who has ever loved me. And that the only way that feast that I'm preparing with my life can ever be fully enjoyed is through my death.
It's quite the conclusion.
Well, I still have more to say. I think of peace a lot and how it relates to everything we talk about on Subconscious Sundays. And I wanted to go back to the peace with God thing for a second. My relationship as an interfaith minister to God is a very ever-changing thing. And I also use the terms for God interchangeably as well, because my feelings are always changing about that. Except to say that I feel like my trust in God is pretty solid these days, but it hasn't always been, right? And so, for lack of a better term, I'll use the term God, even though I mean also all there is, the universe, etc. Whatever term works for you, translate that as you will, and take what resonates and leave what does not. But I am also quite at peace with God, and in as much as God is peace, the idea of whatever's out there that's great, the greatest power there is, all the power that there is also peace itself. And I allow that peace to move through me and move into the world through me. And death is the only way to embody that peace completely, to complete the peace process that is known as my life on earth. And to put it into a Christian perspective, this is something that I came up with in seminary and my tutor, when we were doing teacher one-on-ones, my tutor actually responded to this, whoa. And it was that death is the act of surrender our bodies must endure to complete Christ's own example, and the only transformation aside from birth that God puts us through without a choice. We don't have a choice when or how we're born, and we don't really have that much of a choice of how we die, but we do have no choice in when. And the idea that our bodies go through that tale of surrender is what I want to get across here. It's our bodies that ultimately experience that act of sacrifice. That's how I feel about it. And rebirth is the learning, the personal transformation that we go through, all that growth. That's the choice. That's the only way we kind of have a choice in the way that we die to ourselves, the way that we die to our egos. Death itself is not a choice. It's the destination that we're all headed towards. And all the other destinations we feel like we have in life, all the when we talk about carrots and sticks with joy and gratitude, all the carrots we put in front of ourselves on a stick and say, that's the destination, that's the destination. Those are all merely ideas. And that feast that I refer to, that we prepare, is all that remains when we take that final act of peacemaking and our existence ceases to be in its current form. That's all that I feel like I know for sure. And I'm so open to correction, so open to other ideas and other philosophies and other thoughts. But that's what I have to share today about death. And about rebirth to some extent, because I'm kind of letting Tim, you handle the rebirth half of this episode's topic pretty heavily.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is clearly we grab these gigantic topics, right?
We love
And
to
so
do that.
there's only so much we can say about either one of these, but birth and death are really like two of the only things that we can actually know that are part of this life. Like, that's it. I mean, that's the two things we can actually know, right?
The bookends.
Yeah, like maybe the laws of physics, right? Like, we're gonna fall to the ground because of gravity. We can actually know that, but I mean, anyway, not to diverge on that, but rebirth is an interesting part of this too, right? This is the idea of death can be pretty overwhelming to us subconsciously, clearly, right? This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
right, primary
I almost
fear.
wish we would be more conscious about it with some of those last few comments that I brought in, like, don't let death leave your eyes and living my best life knowing that it's coming. Like, I almost wish it was more conscious.
Yeah, right. Well, and everybody would like to be conscious of what's going to happen afterwards, right? But that's something nobody can know. However, they think. I mean, there's lots of ways of knowing. I don't want to discount anybody's knowing,
Oh yeah,
but really,
absolutely.
when it comes down to it, like nobody knows,
Nobody knows.
and that's why that fear is primary, right? Let's
Yes.
get real.
Yes. Yes.
Let's get real. I mean, people have had near-death experiences. Like, we might have all encountered cool stories, and in fact, like the book, kind of verging on this. We're getting into the rebirth part here a little bit, maybe. If you guys have encountered the book Journey of Souls or Destiny of Souls. I cannot believe I'm blanking on the author, but two very interesting books for a hypnotist, especially, where it's a hypnotist whose clients have had experiences from the other side, and they're all very, very, very similar,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
what I've heard.
there's lots of interesting things like that, but it really is, who knows, right? So I think a lot of us have an idea that there is. Some people don't. Some people think there is nothing. We die, that's it, that's all. Done. Clearly, some people think that. A lot of people think that there is something after, and that's really like kind of rebirth, right? We're going to be reborn into whatever else is next, whatever that is, right? So I want to take this concept, and as usual, I try to make this stuff as practical as I can on a daily experiential basis. But April, before we go into this, I just want to make sure, did you have anything else that you had to say here? Is it time for the hypnotic meditation?
It truly is time for it. And I'll briefly say something because something's kind of popped into my brain, really. But I did have a near-death experience once. I got very gravely ill in 2004, and I had just moved to a new city, and I didn't know anybody. And I would just lie in bed starving for a few days, and it really sucked. And I felt this overwhelming sense of like, and this may have just been the starvation. I probably wasn't actually dying, but it was hard to know for sure. And I felt this sense of warmth, like all the love I had ever given and all the love I had ever received and was currently receiving from people that weren't present, I just felt all the love I'd ever given and ever gotten in that moment, in this warmth. And I thought, this must be what death feels like. I didn't actually go like, I must be dying, but I was like, I must be going through something death-like right now. And I remember just that sense of love. It was like the thing that sustained me and allowed me to like get up and help myself and get better and make myself some soup, take a shower at the time. But I refer to it as a near-death experience because things were so dire for me and I didn't see any way out. And I think that ties really well into rebirth because I feel like all of these transitions that we go through in our life that are death-like, that are death adjacent, only really happen for us because of all the love that we feel and all the love that we receive from other people. So I hope that is a good segue into what you
Yeah,
got going.
awesome. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in participating in this hypnotic meditation, let's go ahead and get started. Find yourself a comfortable position, seated or lying down. I'd almost prefer you to be seated. This is going to be a little bit of a shorter one, but whatever's most comfortable for you, just be sure and allow yourself, if you are participating, don't try to do anything that requires focus. Don't participate if you're already doing something that requires your focus, like driving. Just get yourself comfortable, settle in, uncross your legs, uncross your arms, take off your glasses if you wear them, and just start to settle into wherever you are in the world right now. And I just got through a bout of COVID. So I've had a little interesting experience on mini, mini death, mini rebirth, maybe you might call it. So if we'll try to keep this focused in for you guys. Taking a few deep breaths though. And if you've joined us before, you might know what to expect here a little bit. But just settle in. And as you're getting nice and settled in, getting really comfortable, I just want to say a couple more words about death and rebirth. Seems like they're intimately paired. You can't have death without birth. You could have birth without death, but they are pretty intimately paired. So if we look at death as just transformation, transfiguration, there's always some sort of rebirth happening. If something dies, its essence or something about it will be transformed into something else. We're going to work with that a little bit on a very, very practical level with nothing too deep here on these hypnotic meditations. We're not doing therapy work like we would in one-on-one sessions. Um, we're not doing therapy in one-on-one sessions when we're doing hypnosis, but we are working on personal issues and things. So go ahead and take a look at a spot on the wall that's above your natural eye gaze. And it's going to look something like this. Eyes just facing up, and find a spot on the wall or the ceiling. Really eagle eye that spot. As you take a deep breath in, notice all the little minute details of this spot. And as you breathe out, I want you to look through that spot as if you could see the sky beyond. You might notice the corners of the room. Notice a cascading sensation of relaxation throughout your entire body. And when you're ready, close your eyes. Good. Now, relax your jaw. Just let it drop. This is going to help to send a signal to your entire body that there is nothing for you to do right now but to relax. Focused on the sound of my voice, sending you into an even deeper and more comfortable state of peaceful relaxation. Nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. You're in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. Good. Now slow your rate of breathing. Get into a really comfortable, slow rate of breathing with a very long exhalation. Breathe all the air out of your lungs. Good. And just relax even further into a slow, really comfortable rate of breathing. Good. Now relax the back of your tongue. See how relaxed you can get this kind of funny part of your body, the back of your tongue. Just notice any tension that might be there and drop it. Let your tongue rest fully in your mouth. Decouple your tongue from the part of your brain preparing to speak. This is allowing you to have new thoughts, expansive thoughts, or perhaps no thoughts at all. Silence. Good. Now drop your consciousness into your heart. Even if you perceive your consciousness being seated in your head, behind your eyes, you, with the power of your mind now, just allow the seat of your consciousness to fall down into the center of your chest, into your heart. Really familiar, really peaceful. Good. Now take your attention to the surface beneath you. Get a real feel of that, the sense of gravity gently holding you in place, close to the earth. And as you focus on this sensation, you feel even more settled, even more comfortably relaxed with each gentle breath that you exhale. Focusing only on the sound of my voice now, as you take in another deep breath, you focus on the feeling of gravity supporting you, and take your awareness up now, up through the top of your head, up as far into the universe as you care to go, to the very center of the universe, the realm of divine inspiration, maybe your spiritual home. And as you exhale, bring a little bit of that clarity and light down, back down into your body, and allow your awareness to go right back down into your heart. Consciousness centered right in the center of our chest. With the power of your mind, imagine now you're seated very peacefully, very comfortably on the top of a hill. This is a beautiful hill. Seated right at the top, you're looking down the hillside. Just let that scene unfold. And whatever presents itself to you right now about this hill is exactly right. This hill is your life. It's a hill of miracles. It's a hill full of experiences. It's a hill full of emotions. It's all of your past. And each layer of the hill is built up from each of your past experiences. Layer by layer, once you have the experience, it builds itself up, and you find yourself now seated at the top of this hill, right on top of all of your past experiences of your whole life. Good. Just take in the scene again. What do you notice? Is it sunny? Good. Now, bring that little light of divine clarity that you brought back from the very center of the universe and take that with your awareness down into the earth, down further, down all the way through the hill, deeper under the hill, through all the layers of the earth, all the way down to the very center of the earth now, where it's grounded, nurturing, supported by life itself. Good. As you take a little bit of that nurturing energy of the earth back up through the layers of the earth, you're going to come up to the bottom of your hill. And we're going to slow down here and come up through a few of the layers of the hill. Each of these past experiences in your life has built a layer upon layer of the hill. And right now, right under you in the hill, there's a particular layer that is a past experience that has been difficult for you, painful. Whatever comes to mind right now is exactly right. Just focus on that experience for a moment and know that it truly has died. That experience is gone. It's in the past. It is no longer living. By giving it a second thought, you're giving it a little bit of a rebirth here. But I want to give a different perspective on this. As this particular layer has been inside the hill, there have been many, many, many other layers built on top of it, creating a pressure, and the heat and the pressure of that situation itself has come together to compress that experience into something beautiful. It's a diamond. See it now. And you might remember going diamond mining with me before, if you've joined us in a previous episode. We're going to mine this diamond right here. I want you to, with the power of your mind, notice this diamond in your mind's eye. It's beautiful, crystal clear. It's what has become of that past experience. This is the rebirth now of that past painful experience. It's an element of it has been reborn as this diamond. And as you peer into the clear, beautiful facets, the rainbow iridescence of this beautiful diamond, you have a realization now of something positive that's come through in your life that's helped you on your path because of this experience. The experience itself might have been horrible. Doesn't matter. It's dead. It's reborn. What are you noticing now that is clear and beautiful? Maybe even radiant, awe-inspiring about that painful experience. Just let it sink in. And as you do, take that diamond and place it right in the center of your heart. And as you do, it gives an extra gleam. That extra gleam of that diamond in your heart is something, if you would like, you will always remember. If you allow it, anytime you consider this past painful experience, knowing it's in the past, knowing that the experience itself is truly dead, but it has been reborn in the form of this diamond. Moving forward, that gleam of that diamond in your heart can always remind you of something truly beautiful and positive that's come out of that painful experience. Might be surprising to you, might not. Taking a few deep breaths and just imagine that diamond in the center of your heart now. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and we'll be right back here with us at Some Conscious Sundays, fully aware and maybe feeling a little bit better about something that hasn't died and needed to die and needed to be reborn in this new form. 1. still so comfortably relaxed and maybe even more comfortable in this very moment. 2, coming up from the center of that hill, that layer where you found the diamond, up into your body, feeling the presence of that radiant diamond in the center of your heart. As you do, it sends a warm and golden light throughout your entire body. Feel that now. And 3, wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, opening your eyes, and right back here with us on Subconscious Sundays.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us for that. I hope everybody feels like that right now.
I do.
If you were able to participate. Yeah, serious and heavy topics like death and rebirth.
They're kind of my favorite.
Yeah, right. We didn't really want to get into like death of loved ones here with this,
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting if you brought up le petit mort. Is that how you say it in French? Which means or little death. We have to think about like little death. Like that's kind of when you said that, I was like, oh wow, I hadn't really thought about that, but that was kind of the essence of what I wanted to do with you guys is know that
Give us an
anything
orgasm.
Well, maybe the diamond gave some sort of spiritual or mental orgasm to folks. Who knows? But
yes.
That little death, like anything that's happened to us in our past, like we can consider a little death. It's dead, it's gone. So, but we can still have it reborn in a positive way for us.
I had James's comment up on the screen for a second there. It was timely, and I agree. Timely for me. So timely.
Cool. Good.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And that's just a little taste of what you would get out of that moment of spending with Tim in practice. And it would be completely tailored to you. It would be completely all about you and your experience if you're able to work with Tim. Tim's hypnosis sessions don't offer a whole lot of time for like reflection, one-on-one, that sort of stuff. That's where I come in. I offer that time to feel seen and heard and talk about your experience. We've been experimenting with a co-offering that the clients who are, going through that experience, we're hearing very good things about how great it is to be able to just go into that state and allow the work to happen on a subconscious level, and then have that conscious experience of working one-on-one with me, with the potential for dream work to bring that aspect of the subconscious in as well with me one-on-one. Whether you want to work with both of us or one of us, or whether you want to work with Tim or April, the links are in the comments. You can go to Tim's link or my link, and it'll book some time for us to talk about your situation, what you need to work on, perhaps. But more often than not, that is a very brief conversation, and we talk more about what it means to work with each one of us or both of us, what that would entail, how much it costs, what your time constraints are, what our time constraints are, getting that all together, getting it scheduled, and generating that like really great feeling of excitement of knowing that you're about to go on a really fantastic journey and possibly even a rebirth for yourself. So what we are the merchants of is that transformation, that work that does all you need it to do to create the miracles in your life that you are so desperate to see. And we are really excited to help you sherpa that into your life and watch you do it, because we don't do it for you. We watch you do it, and we cheer you on, and we see how hard you work while we work just as hard alongside you. So don't be shy. Book that time, speak with either one of us, and get that journey going today. And we look forward to hearing from you. And Tim, are we going to be here next week? I think I'm good.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next week with, I can't think of a topic that could possibly be any heavier than the one we did today, which I think we did great with the levity and all that, but with something equally juicy, I can promise that.